I'm going to get started. So just a quick recap from last week. I shared a little bit about my story and how I got started with the rice diet. The goal with the group is to replace at least one of your regular meals with one rice diet compliant plate. By rice diet compliant, we mean phases 1 through 3 of the Rice Diet Report or A Diet That Works. Those are books written by Judy Moskowitz. Or you can go to our website at ricedietsupport.com and find our food list with a list of compliant foods. So those are your rice equivalents and fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, potatoes, salt-free herbs and spices are optional. And then how I got started with the diet, or how I heard about it, was from Dr. John McDougall. And if you don't know who he is, he has his face on these soups at the grocery store. And a book that I recommend that he has written is the McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss. And he references Walter Kempner quite a bit. Walter Kempner is the founder of the rice diet. And on our website at ricedietsupport.com, we have a couple links that will take you to Dr. McDougall's website. One of them is the scientific publications by Dr. Walter Kempner, which is a 500-page document of all of the different research and studies that have been done with the rice diet. But the article called Only Hope for Arthritis, that's the article that I came across over 8 years ago. And that's how I had first heard about this way of eating. So these are a photograph of my hands. The left-hand side is what they look like when they're inflamed and swollen. So what happened was, after I was healthy and I was of a normal weight, but then during my pregnancies I gained quite a bit of weight, but I didn't have any health issues. And then after the birth of my daughter, all of a sudden I became sick and disabled. And it turned out that I had an advanced case of ankylosing spondylitis and rheumatoid arthritis. And I really couldn't move any part of my body, and I couldn't bend my fingers or walk across the room. But I found the article, Only Hope for Arthritis by Dr. McDougall. In that article, it talks about the research surrounding water fasting and elimination diets for inflammatory arthritis. So I went on a 5-day water fast, and you can see this is some of the results that I would get. The picture on the right is the effects of not eating. And so from then I knew that my condition was related to food. And I did the elimination diet, which was rice and some fruits and some vegetables. And I learned about Walter Kempner. I also lost 90 pounds. And then here's a picture on my birthday. I had some fruit instead of like a traditional birthday cake. So I really stuck with the diet for 3 years. I only ate rice and fruits and vegetables. But I stopped following the diet, and I won't get into all the reasons why, but one of the things that always played in my mind for years was hearing from doctors and rheumatologists and neurologists. They would tell me that what I eat has nothing to do with the treatment of my disease, and that I just needed to take my medication. So eventually I took them up on it, and for the last 3 years, I've not really followed. I've pretty much eaten the standard American diet, and I've taken all the medications that were prescribed to me. And what happened is that I got a lot more sick, and I became again bedridden, and I gained all the weight back plus more. And so I have several conditions. I have ankylosing spondylitis, rheumatoid arthritis, hypothyroid, a tremor disorder, and postural orthostatic tachycardia. So here's a little video of what happens when I stand. And this is a 1 minute video, and you'll see my heart rate go from 80 beats per minute to 150.
Just started to stand up. Now it's shooting up 100, 130, 140 just from standing up. 150. It's dropping back down now. Not standing straight anymore.
So for the last 2 years, I have been I've been in my bed, and I use a power wheelchair to get to the bathroom, and I have all these different conditions. And so I realized I really needed help, and I started looking for coaching services. And these are some of the quotes that I got personally: $300 to $600 for 1 hour session, and as much as $3,000 to $7,000 for a 6 week to a 12 week program. I, this is not something I could afford, obviously, but I just realized, I can do this. I know how to make the food, and it's something that I did for over 3 years, but I just needed the support, and I realized the support could really come from anybody, and it could just be a friend. It doesn't have to be, thousands of dollars for a doctor necessarily. And so that's why we started these groups, is really just for accountability for me, but to be able to, help others as well. So it's nice to be able to meet people who want to try the same diet, and even if you are not following it exactly the same as me, it's still nice to have that community. So my husband decided to do it with me, and he lost 29 pounds in the first month, and we launched a free boot camp group. And so that's for people who wanted to go all in and do the diet 100%. And we both now have lost over 40 pounds. But the one really cool thing was my blood pressure. I reversed stage 2 hypertension in just a couple of weeks without medication. So that's a picture of my husband and our kitchen. So I say that in the kitchen, I'm the brains and he's the hands. So this is my reclining chair, and then I lay back, and he helps me so much. He does all the cooking. So we have really had to figure this out, and we've had to figure out how to make this work, because he works full time and takes care of us. So we really don't have time to be making homemade meals during the week. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about today is meal planning. So first, 5 common reasons we don't eat on plan. So here's one reason: I don't have anything healthy to eat. I don't know what to make. I've had the same thing over and over. I left my food at home, so I'll just get something out. And I'm too busy and stressed to cook dinner. So those are sort of the practical reasons why we don't stick to our plan. Obviously, there's, we can say that we're emotional, or, at the end of the day, there is some self-accountability. We can't go to each other's house and like force feed, each other. And so if we have in front of us like an apple or a donut, and we choose the donut, at some point we have to figure out, maybe we should try to not have the donut there in the first place. But I'm not trying to solve, every single issue, but what I am trying to solve is at least all of the problems related to not having the food ready and available for you. So the 5 reasons I just gave were, you know, reasons that do have an easy solution, and it comes down to being practical. And so the solution almost always is meal planning. If we fail to plan, we are planning to fail. And so that's like if you say, well, I'm going to go on a new diet on Monday, but you don't, um, you know, go shopping, or you don't know what you're going to actually eat on Monday. And then Monday rolls around and it's like, oh, I don't have anything to eat. So I'm going to fail my plan. And so that's why the planning is the most important part. And that's something that we have to do in advance. So when we're planning, we're not planning for what we're eating today, we're planning for what we're going to eat, like 3 days from now. No recipe, no problem. So everyone knows by now, it's pretty simple. You can just prepare some rice. Frozen vegetables and fruits are fast food. So try to always have a fruit bowl stocked with your favorite fruits. And this is especially important whenever you leave the house, to take a piece of fruit with you or something with you so that you have something to eat. And then frozen vegetables can easily be microwaved within 5 minutes. And then you can combine that with some rice and some lemon juice or lime juice. And if you're including spices, salt-free spices. But choose ingredients that you enjoy. So if you don't like Brussels sprouts, don't buy them. Just pick stuff that you're gonna like. And so where to start is simple is best, and simple works. So this is sometimes a place where people start is with just the rice and fruit phase, but this can also be a backup plan. So anytime you're in a hurry and you just can't think about what you're supposed to be eating or what you're going to make, you know that you always have this option to just get some fruit and just to eat rice, plain and simple rice. Here's a couple examples. But what has helped me the most is meal rotation and single serving freezer meals. And by that I mean something that you don't have to think about, you don't have to prepare. It's just a matter of minutes before you're able to eat it. You just have to heat it up. And that's something that has really changed and made our week a lot less stressful. And so our meal planning, it kind of looks like this. One of the things that we ran into week after week was stress of, the day we saved everything for shopping day, and that was our mistake. So let's say you go shopping on whatever day it is. So let's say it's Saturday. We would just save everything for Saturday. So we wouldn't really like think about what we were going to need to buy or what we were going to be making. So we would cram everything in one day, go to the store. Of course, you're hungry, and then you have to eat. You get home with all of these groceries, and then you're so tired, but you have all this food, you have to do something with it. And then you put it off to the next day. And then before you know it, your work week started again. And now you have groceries in a refrigerator, which is great, but it's not planned or prepared. Or maybe your vegetables aren't actually like washed or chopped, or so you're still run into the same issue because on a weeknight when you're hungry, there's all the temptations, all the convenience foods out there. And so we really have to kind of meet our competition with convenience foods. So let's make our own healthy convenience foods so that those are available to us during the week. But what we do is split this up into 3 different days. So for example, on Thursday, that's when we would do the meal planning. So that's the pencil and paper part of it. And we're planning for the following week. So we're thinking about what meals do we want to have, and we're creating a shopping list. And then on Friday, we know that we already have our shopping list, we already have our plan, and we just have to go to the store. And we get home and put the groceries away. And then Saturday is batch cooking day. So here's an example of meal planning. What we've found is that any more than 4 meals on like a batch cooking day just becomes too overwhelming. So being able to have 4 different meals that we rotate throughout the week has kind of given us that balance that has worked for us. So for example, on the sheet, the paper on the left says rice porridge, not fried rice, cilantro lime rice, and then a barbecue hash with barbecue sauce. So those are 4 different meals we like to make for the rice diet. And then I always have extras, which is your fruits and vegetables. You want to stock your fruit bowl, and then whatever extra vegetables you're going to want on the side. The next example, so for another week, it might look like pineapple rice, and then red rice with salsa, just rice with mango pico, and then Cajun boil. So those are 4 different meals. And then the extras, I would think like, what vegetables would I enjoy having with pineapple rice? Sometimes I put a handful of kale in that, peppers and onions with the red rice and salsa. So just thinking about what you want to make, and that can be different for every family. And then we write the shopping list for each of the recipes we're going to be making. And then on Friday, we go shopping. So Saturday is batch cooking. So we already know what we're going to be making. We already got the groceries. So all we have to do is worry about making the meals. But not just making meals, but preparing single serving freezer meals. So this isn't something you have to do, but it's just something that has saved saved our family, because my kids eat slightly different than me and my husband eats slightly different than me. So I really need to know that my foods for my special diet are always going to be available. And so here's a few examples. Lemon pepper rice with asparagus and sweet potato, and then not fried rice. But notice how we have the Ziploc bags. When we make a meal, we try to make at least 6 to 12 portions. And this is a little bit trial and error. You'll figure out what meals will keep well in the freezer and they'll reheat. We've had a couple of meals fail. So when it fails, we just like cross it off our list. It's, for example, like watermelon salad. That's obviously something that's not going to freeze very well in the freezer. So we put the extra portions in single serving Ziploc bags, which is really important because what in the past we used to cram, enough to feed like an entire family in one huge container in the freezer. And what ended up happening was it didn't really serve us the purpose we needed, because we wanted to be able to have convenience foods when it's that night of the week when you don't feel like cooking. So we would realize, oh, we forgot to take this out of the freezer, and it has to defrost all day long because it's this big giant container. So putting it in small, in single serving portions has been a game changer. So we just take the bag out of the freezer and squish the contents out into a microwavable dish, and then microwave it for 4 minutes. And it's almost always done perfectly, but sometimes we have to stir it a little bit and then microwave it for an additional 30 seconds. But it just feels so good going to bed after batch cooking and feeling like your work is done and you can just rest, and the whole week is going to be a little less stressful. And so this is the cilantro lime rice and then a corn pico. And the green sauce is it's actually a herb chili sauce. We have the recipe. It's really good too. This is one of my favorites. It's a potato dish, just a potato hash, and then our barbecue sauce. And if you're avoiding spices, then you don't have to use the barbecue sauce. But this is one of my favorite meals. So another thing that we implemented recently, we kept running into a problem where our freezer would be packed full of food, but we would forget what was in there. So then I'm thinking, like, I'm really hungry. What can I eat? And we really wouldn't know what I could eat and then we don't feel like digging everything out of the freezer to like find what's in there. So this is kind of helpful. You can write down the single serving meals that you've made. And this would be really helpful, I think, for senior citizens or, loved ones or people living alone or so many different scenarios. I think it could be helpful. So you would write like each individual meal that you have in your freezer. When you take it out and eat it, just find where you wrote it down on this list and then cross it out with a pen. So if any of these papers are helpful, or if anyone wants a copy of these pages, we can make them available too. And if you want to try it for yourself, you can customize your own meal planning and pick the day of the week that you want to do your meal planning, what day you're going to go shopping, and what day you're going to do batch cooking. And it may take trial and error, just finding what meals you enjoy and then what meals actually practically work, that actually taste good and taste edible after they've been frozen and defrosted. So next week, I'm going to share about calorie density and how to modify any recipe. So if you have like a cookbook at home, you can, I'll teach you different ways how you can modify it, and then also just show the drastic differences between low calorie density foods and high calorie density foods, and how the rice diet is almost exactly a low calorie density diet. Rice, fruits, and vegetables are the lowest calorie foods in the world, and that might be one of the reasons why this way of eating is such a good weight loss plan. So I will share about calorie density next week. So one habit at a time and lots of practice, we can do this. So I did want to keep this presentation kind of short today, to just respect everybody's time. So I'll go ahead and close it out, and then if anyone wants to, we can open it up for a discussion, or if you have any questions.